Started in just a minute. Okay, great. Lynn, do you think we might be ready to go ahead and start?
Yes, I think we need to go ahead. I've got 102, and then we can
Okay,
let people in as they
wonderful.
come.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to call our December Early Childhood Advisory Council meeting to order. And I just want to say how thrilled we are that you have continued to prioritize this time. And I think today's agenda will provide some much needed updates and news to share with you that is going to be most critical for how we move forward. So with that, Robin, can you go ahead and do our member roll call?
Yes. Amy Smith,
Here.
Andrea Day,
Here.
Anita Dowd, Beth Morton,
Here.
Dee Dee Cummings, Deputy Secretary Beth Brindley,
Here.
Dr. Amy Hood,
Here.
Dr. Annette Bridges, Dr. Connie White, Dr. Felicia Cummings Smith,
Here.
Dr. Jason Gilbert,
Present.
Greta McKenzie, Joe Barry,
Here.
Lynn Baker,
Here.
Paula Goff,
Here.
Rena Gratz,
Here.
Scotty Collier,
Here.
Tracy Stimmel,
Here.
Travis Burton, Twyla Burdette,
Here.
Senator Danny Carroll, Secretary Eric Freelander, Robin Kinney or Thomas Williams,
This is Thomas Williams here on behalf of Commissioner McKinney.
and Representative Vance.
Okay,
Thank
Robin,
you.
is that everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Again, welcome. It's great to see everyone, and I'm so glad that you continue to prioritize this work. And there's a lot that we are looking forward to sharing from this office today. As we do in all of our meetings, there are a couple reminders that I need to state as we begin. Remembering that all of our meetings are recorded and voting members need to be on camera when we are taking votes. It's highly encouraged that all participants, of course, are on camera. When we're getting ready to take care of business, if a member walks away, we have to pause our discussion until that member returns. We will adhere to Robert's Rules of Order as we continue to do our work. And I wanted to just share a little bit about our agenda for today before I turn it over to Deputy Secretary Beth Brindley for an update on some of the transitions that have occurred with this office. We'll hear, as we traditionally do, from our Executive Director report. We'll get some updates from work groups. We'll hear our partner agency updates, which I'm thrilled to hear this month. We'll have a spotlight on our preschool development grant. You know, over the last few months since our last conversation, I have heard from folks that communicating the work that's going on with the preschool development grant strategy and efforts has been a priority. And there are folks in the field who may not be abreast of all of the work that has been accomplished. So I want to make sure that we do some strategy spotlights again today, and help you understand your role in communicating with your colleagues and networks in the field about the progress that's being made under that work. And then we're going to just take a year in review and celebrate some wins that have come forward from this office, but as a result of the work that all of you are doing and committed to doing in the field around early learning and early care in the Commonwealth. We'll also do a quick review of our 2024 meeting schedule. So please make sure you have those dates on your calendar, and then we'll adjourn our meeting. At this time, I had talked with Deputy Secretary Beth Brindley to just share with us an update. You all received a communication from me a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a month ago now. And we want to recognize that before we go into our conversation. And Beth said she would be glad to give us an update. So I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. And good afternoon, everyone. It has been a very busy season, and hope that you are enjoying your holidays, and wanted to just make sure that we took a moment to express our appreciation for Amy Neal Bundy, who served in the role of Executive Director for almost 4 years, and the wonderful foundation that she has laid for the Governor's Office of Early Childhood and the work that we do. She is no longer serving in that capacity, and we are very thankful that Lynn Baker, who has been serving as the Director of Early Childhood Workforce and Head Start Collaboration, has agreed to step up into the interim position. She and the team and I have met and have been working together seamlessly to continue the work of the council. And I think that we are well positioned. We did put out a posting for the executive director position. We received over 52 applications, so that shows how much interest there is in this important work. We have selected an interview committee that will be undertaking the interviews in the near future, and we hope before our next quarterly meeting that we will be able to introduce our new executive director. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Felicia. If there's anything else, I'm happy to address it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. You know, it's important that we acknowledge the work of our colleagues. And I think that has been something that we've all made sure is a priority as well as we continue to think about the work ahead of us. So we will continue to move onward. And I have been working very closely as chair in this role with Lynn. And so at this time, Lynn, I want to turn it over to you to share our executive director's update. And congratulations and thank you for stepping in the way that you have.
Thank you, Felicia, and thank you so much, Deputy Secretary Brindley. We are thrilled to have the support in our office. As you mentioned, we're a great team of people who the work is continuing. There's not been a pause. So we are moving forward and have lots to share with you today. Very excited to share what we're about to. You should have received the executive director's report as a pre-read in your email. So I'm going to go over just a few of the items in that. But before I dive into that, I just want to mention that last week, 4 members of our team attended the Preschool Development Grant convening in Bethesda, Maryland. That was Rebecca Smith, who is our apprenticeship consultant, who you will hear from in a little bit. She presented at that convening. Jessica Kane, who is our early childhood advisor, and then Crystal Hawkins and myself. Crystal Hawkins is our consulting project manager. And so we were able to connect and network with all the other states who've received the Preschool Development Grant. We were able to hear about their work, share about our work, and it was really a great time. And in sessions, we heard a lot about Kentucky while we were sitting in the room, and some of the presenters didn't realize we were in the room. So that is always a positive when you hear from your other state members who are doing the work too, that they are recognizing your work in your state. It was an amazing conference, as I said, and our office was chosen to present during a session highlighting the strong work in our early childhood apprenticeship. And so, as I mentioned, we'll hear from Rebecca Smith in a little bit about the presentation that she shared at that time. We were excited to hear that we are sustaining the work and that people are realizing it in other states. And so we made a lot of great connections there on some work that we will be moving forward on that was already part of our preschool development grant, but some great ideas to move forward to align with the work that's already being done. So with that said, I'll go on and dive in a little bit to the executive director's report. We'll take a little bit more in-depth look at some specific strategies, including the Talent Pipeline Management Collaborative Network and the Registered Apprenticeship later in the meeting. But in the Executive Director Report, you should have received that as a pre-read, as I mentioned. You'll find more information that supports all the other work that's going on in addition to what I'm going to mention. We have had key partner meetings, and we will have key partner meetings scheduled in the coming weeks to talk about all of our cross-strategy pieces of the preschool development grant so that each of our partners, as Felicia mentioned, can learn more about the overall work that's happening with the preschool development grant with all of our partners. We are excited to share that the non-compete continuation application for the preschool development grant was submitted, and we received the notice of award for the second year funding. So we have to submit those reports, even though it's a non-compete. We have to submit those reports in order for the next year's funding to be released, and we're excited that it has been. We're in the very final stages of compiling our needs assessment. The final product will outline and elevate strategies and programs and services to help families ensure that children are healthy and have a strong start. Our fiscal mapping explaining the funding sources Kentucky has available for Cradle to Career has been developed and presented, and we are excited to be working with Children's Funding Project on that. They are a great group that does a lot of research and has a lot to offer as we move forward with other strategies in our state. So that funding project is ongoing, and we'll share more about that coming up. And that's just a few highlights from our executive director's report. Again, we'll hear more about specific strategies that were mentioned in that report coming up from some of our team members. And next, I think we're going to move on to our partner updates. So I'm going to hand that back to Felicia, unless you have questions on the executive director report.
Are there any questions on the report? Thank you, Lynn, for that information. And it was nice to hear about the teens representation at the PDG meeting just a few months ago or weeks ago, and to be able to present to your colleagues as exemplary models. So thank you all for doing that. Not seeing any hands raised or anyone coming off mute, I'm going to go ahead and move forward with our partner agency updates. And, as we have continued to improve on these updates over the year, I'm thrilled to hear now. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Williams so he can give a report from the Kentucky Department of Education.
So good afternoon, everyone, and it's always a pleasure to be here. So I will be providing the update on behalf of the Kentucky Department of Education. So we're doing a lot of work here at the department. So first, I do want to update everyone on the Kentucky Pyramid Model State Leadership Team. So I think that I brought this item at our last council meeting, but I want to continue to bring it to the forefront because this is very important work, and we have engaged all of our cross-agency partners within this initiative. So we did have our second meeting, which we really concentrated on the benchmarks of quality piece of the work. And so we're very happy that we're moving into we are the 41st pyramid model state. And also, we're continuing to engage our partners on how we can better improve the state leadership team. So again, I will continue to bring this framework to the group to continue to talk about it, and hopefully in the next couple of meetings, I could possibly provide an in-depth overview of where we are with the state leadership team. Next, I want to update everyone around our Kentucky Department of Education State Consolidated Monitoring piece. So we are in monitoring season. So each year, the Kentucky Department of Education coordinates the monitoring of the state and federal programs, which includes our state-funded preschool program. So in an effort to reduce the impact on district time and services, KDE provides districts with consolidated reports that represents an opportunity for collaboration among the programs. So we have released our 23-24 districts who will be monitored this year. That is, I'll just name a few: it's Bell County, Boyd County, Butler County, Elliott County, Fort Thomas Independent, Fulton County, Hickman County, and Pike County. And again, that's just a few of the districts who will be monitored this 23-24 season. Also, I want to provide an update around the preschool development grant. So the Kentucky Department of Education, we are responsible for implementing Activity 6, which includes the sub-grants to enhance quality and expand access to existing and new programs or system enhancement. So KDE, at this point, we are finalizing a request for application, which is called an RFA, a competitive grant application to support the partnerships with full-day, year-round, high-quality early care and education. So we are in the final stages of finalizing that RFA, and it will be posted to KDE's competitive grant. And I will provide more information in regards to how you all will be able to receive the information once the application is released. So we're very excited that we're moving along with the preschool development grants and the activities that KDE is responsible for. So I will open it up for any questions that the council may have for me. Okay.
Okay, seeing no hands raised or questions, I would love to make sure, Dr. Williams, that the other agencies and organizations represented here have a chance to share out about the information that you shared, specifically about the RFA that's getting ready to be released. So as our council members are, thinking about what are some ways in which you could share this information with your networks, I'd love for you to just drop that in the chat so we can hear some of your ideas about how you might be able to help share the information, particularly around the RFA that's going to be released. We would love to know that so that Dr. Williams has account that this council is also doing our part in getting the word out about our preschool development grant, but also other opportunities for engagement in that work. So if everyone would at this time just drop into the chat as we transition to Andrea Day, who will give her partner agency update from the Cabinet for Health and Family Services Division of Child Care. Thank you, Dee Dee, for getting us started.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Division of Child Care, we continue to stay busy as all eyes continue to be on child care and what's next. As you know, the American Rescue Plan Act stabilization grants ended. We issued 9 quarterly payments, but we are offering one last stabilization payment that is fully state funded. Our third-party vendor is finishing up reviewing all those applications and doing the math and getting that payment file ready. Our goal is to have that payment out to those providers who qualified next week. So they will see another influx as we go into this legislative session. The discretionary funds that were granted through the ARPA, through ARP money, those are continuing until September 30th of 2024, and that's a lot. We have the increased income eligibility at 85% of the state median income, making more families and children eligible for CCAP. We are also continuing with the child care income exclusion or protected population. Those folks who work in a regulated child care program have all of their household income excluded from the CCAP application. And that is a way that we can support the workforce and give those providers an additional benefit that doesn't come at the cost of the center. To date, we have served 3,269 families, and that represents 5,716 children. And that's 1,025 providers across the state are, their employees are using this provision. And we're really excited. We've been contacted by a lot of states to talk about how we implemented that, what it looked like. Dr. Gratz just gave an update earlier this week to the Hunt Institute on that work as well. So thank you for that, Rena. I greatly appreciate that. We rolled out Brightwheel, which is a child care management system. We have contracted with them to offer a child care management system to our child care providers across the state. The impetus for that was, how could we support our providers, make that administrative burden of running a program a little easier? We're also hopeful that this will allow us to have aggregate data about true enrollment, because as you guys know, that's a big, huge data gap for us. We know capacity as far as what the fire marshal says someone can operate, but knowing what is actually available is totally different. So we're hoping with the implementation of Brightwheel that will give us a clearer picture of what is going on in the child care landscape across the state, and for us to, again, fill that data gap. We are working on our quality progress report for ACF this month to brag on all the initiatives that we have implemented. And we're gearing up, believe it or not, it's already been 3 years, to write our state plan for the Child Care and Development Block Grant. So we'll be doing that this year, along with Child Care Aware of Kentucky doing our market rate survey. So we're excited to get that data and to look at where we're successful, where we could improve, and take those steps forward. And I'll open it up now if anyone has any questions.
Andrea, just a note that you might want to check the chat as well. Your cabinet's implementation of these kinds of innovative strategies has really brought a lot of attention to the Commonwealth. As you mentioned, Rena had a chance to share at the Hunt Institute, and I was just at a meeting in Atlanta the last 2 days for the Southern Education Foundation, which has started a new network that I'm going to place in the chat just so that you're aware, where this topic came up. And several folks were saying, who do we need to contact? And that's been a couple of opportunities to share a bit more work about your cabinet's efforts and your leadership. So thank you for that. Are there any additional questions, thoughts? There are some comments, Andrea, for you to see in the chat, but I'd love to take any questions or comments about that report. Okay, seeing none, we're going to keep going. Lynn, can you go ahead and provide the next update for Head Start Collaborative Office?
I will. I want to take a moment and jump back a slide real quick if I can, before we move forward on the Head Start. We wanted to update you all. We know that there's been a very important work group going on. We've been a part of those conversations, and so we sort of skipped over into our partner updates a little bit too soon. So I just wanted to go back and share with you that the Early Childhood Work Group began meeting in March of 2023 and throughout the summer. And the reason was to learn more about other state models for increasing early childhood education and care. The Education Commission of the states provided current models and research around successes and challenges. And on August 23rd and 24th of 2023, the Early Childhood Work Group met to discuss recommendations for the statewide implementation of a universal pre-K program. The work group was led by the Eastern Kentucky University Facilitation Center, and the work group participated in several facilitated exercises to identify what universal pre-K is and is not. And it was a really, really rich discussion. The work group worked to identify stakeholders and determine the essential components for successful implementation. And currently, the work group is preparing to meet in January again to review the draft of the recommendations that were created in August. And after the work group meets to confirm the draft recommendations, then the Commonwealth Education Continuum coordinators will meet with our team at the Governor's Office of Early Childhood to seek alignment to what the work that is happening in our preschool development grant and all of our other initiatives. Recommendations will then be shared with the Commonwealth Education Continuum, as well as a full update that we'll bring back here to our Early Childhood Advisory Council meeting in March. So that was super important to mention, and we went right into our partner updates, and I just wanted to make sure that you all were updated on that. That's some really important work that is cross-sector and involves everyone across the board in the state on that team. So just wanted to point that out. And Felicia, did you want to point anything out about that before I go into Head Start?
No, nothing other than I was hopeful we would make the loop back to that particular slide and the information, just to make sure that everyone is abreast of the relationship, the conversations, the participation and engagement that has been occurring from this office, but also across sector agencies. So I really appreciate that. And the big piece is at our next quarterly meeting in March, we will get a more comprehensive update on all of that work and the implications it has as we move forward for the Commonwealth. So you won't want to miss that meeting.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Felicia.
Yep.
So I'll go back into our Head Start Collaboration Office updates. Wanted to update you all that the Office of Head Start has hired 2 staff that are dedicated to working solely with the Head Start Collaboration Office directors. The new executive director of Head Start, Kari Garvin, is he is a former Head Start Collaboration Office director himself, and really is elevating the work of that office across the nation. And so they have hired those 2 individuals to support that, and a bundle of new resources for all Head Start Collaboration Office directors has been created, and it's been very helpful for onboarding, but also for people who have been in the position for a while. If you're familiar with the Head Start Collaboration Office, you'll know that it's a 1-person office for all states. There might be an administrative assistant sometimes, but the work is primarily done by 1 person. And so that has been instrumental in moving the work forward. The second piece that I want to highlight is that the Office of Head Start just released a notice of proposed rulemaking. And this is the official process for releasing an official document that announces and explains the agency's plan to address a problem or to accomplish a goal. Anyone interested in commenting may respond by submitting comments aimed at developing and improving the draft proposal, or by recommending against issuing the rule. And the rule that has just been released is all around supporting the workforce in the Office of Head Start in their notice of proposed rulemaking to support the Head Start workforce and consistent quality programming, has proposed significant changes to the Head Start program performance standards. And those are the standards that lead all the work of Head Start. And they have made those recommendations to ensure fair compensation. Also, as a key component of high quality and early care and education. The proposed changes are designed to stabilize Head Start workforce and to improve the quality of comprehensive services that are already being provided to families. But the public comment period officially opened November 20th, and it will remain open for 60 days. So the last day to submit comment, and that's completely open to the public, either individual or agency. The last day for that will be January 19th, 2024. And Megan is going to put in the chat the link so that you're able to read that notice. It is quite extensive, so I didn't want to go too far down the rabbit hole with it. But there are a lot of things in there that will help improve quality for the early childhood workforce and Head Start, as well as quality for families and children in the program. So if you'll take a moment to read that, there's some one-pagers that you can go through and look at if you're not wanting to go too far in depth to start with, but those will be at that link that Megan will post. And that's all I have.
Great. Just as another opportunity, I would thank you for that update, Lynn, and going back to the previous slide regarding the work group's efforts. I'd love for our colleagues, if you have any questions at this time, to come off mute, or if you're hearing something that's resonating with you that you just like to have some insights or have some comments on, I'd love to invite you into the conversation now.
Alicia, I have a quick question. if I
Great,
may.
Rena.
So Lynn, I have had a brief on the notice of proposed rulemaking, and the implications for moving towards parity in compensation and also standards with the Head Start workforce. But juxtaposing that with the proposed cuts that we've seen for Head Start, where do we see, how do we see this playing out? Do you have a sense? Have you heard from folks on what is going on with the different factions and the different ideas of what needs to happen with Head Start specifically?
Yeah, as always, the updates that we've received are, it's still in conversation. It's still being debated back and forth, obviously. When we were at risk for government shutdown twice, the second time, Kari Garvin, the executive director of the Office of Head Start, was really adamant that there would be some supports in place if a closure were to happen. And so he went ahead and put into place that Head Starts would receive 6 months of funding. So all of those that might have been in jeopardy of having to close their doors for a few months will not be if that were to happen. That funding issue, though, that's an ongoing, and as we get updates, I'll share them back with you all. I've shared with our Kentucky Head Start Association folks that, it depends on the day, sort of what the update is. But we're staying abreast of that, and we'll definitely keep you in the loop. And we're just really thankful that the Office of Head Start, the executive director, is really in tune with those conversations and very transparent and very communicative. So as we get that information, we'll make sure we share that out.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rena, excellent question. And Lynn, thanks for that feedback. I know this was a topic of discussion at the Southern Education Foundation meeting yesterday as well. And primarily, it was of major concern because of some of the recommendations and strategies that have increased that would create even more of a burden or strain or improvement, either way, in how you look at it, to Head Start programs outlined in the document that you shared with us, where people have an opportunity to provide feedback. With increased expectations, as you know, oftentimes can put a strain if funding is not coupled with that. So that was a large discussion from a cohort of folks from SEF, and I just wanted to bring that into the discussion because it was real, it was a real concern that many of the expectations that are outlined will still have to go into implementation, even if additional funding is not provided. So,
Also, Felicia, just to add to what you just said, there's a real sense that in the effort to improve quality, and the cost that entails, that there is sort of a coming to terms, if you will, within the agency that slots will be lost in the process. And when we think about especially our childcare deserts, our communities that don't really have a lot of slots to begin with, high quality slots, that is really problematic, so that is really also very concerning.
excellent, excellent. Yes, excellent addition. And with that, many people are already cutting transportation, which is an equity issue. So I'm really glad that we're having this part of this discussion because there are some immediate concerns on the horizon. Yeah. Thank you, Lynn, for that. We'll turn it over to Paula. Paula, thanks for your patience as this conversation and updates have unfolded. If you give us an update on Part C, early intervention.
Sure, I'd be glad to. Well, over in our little house over there with early intervention, things are bubbling along. We're really very pleased that we've almost finished a milestone. We're really closing in on it. We have had a very large coaching project that started in 2012 and has been moving along. And our goal, unlike many other states, we decided to train all of our providers across the state, but knowing the limitations of staffing and money, it was done in phases. We are now to our last phase. They will launch in January, so we're very excited about that. And those are all of our existing providers. After that launch, and as it moves along, our new cohorts that come into the coaching program will be new enrollees, new providers to our system. And so what we're finding now is that transition shift from the active teaching and learning and mentoring that occurred with the coaching is now to phase into maintenance for ongoing supports, because the reality we all know is that training is not enough. You have to have ongoing support and mentoring opportunities and resources in order to sustain high quality practices. So we are working through that maintenance issue with looking at how we enhance that. We've got peer coaches who will start in the spring to work with the groups that are in maintenance, but that has moved. It's been a major project. It's taken a lot. It's been a hard project, but in the long run will be very, very beneficial to children and families in Kentucky. We also have seen a couple of other projects coming near to fruition. One is our performance standards and a self-assessment for district child evaluation specialists. These are the entities at our points of entry who do the initial evaluations and assist with the contractors who do initial evaluations so that and their determination of eligibility. And so we've now got that chapter done. So the only one that will be left to do, which will probably start in the spring, will be a set of performance standards for our point of entry managers. That way we will have the performance standards and self-assessments for all of the the foundational group of keys. All will have a set that goes with that are all aligned with best practice, our program standards, depending upon your role, what pieces of compliance that are in place. So we're really pleased that this has moved quite a while and moved down the road. Our last one that we've got on our state improvement plan to start, at least, is one that talks about strategies for child find, quality, access to services. And so we were able to hire a new child find coordinator this is a new role within our group. And so we're very excited to have Jamie McLemore with us. And she is, if any of you know her, she is a fireball. And she has really come in with some really great ideas and great enthusiasm for working with our points of entry and working with people on that child find piece and identifying what are the barriers within different communities that make it difficult for the children who are in need of service, unable to access it. So we're excited to get that one off and going as well in the new year.
Excellent. Thank you, Paula. Was that all?
That's it.
Okay, that's a lot. So thank you so much. Are there any questions at this time? These updates have been extremely comprehensive. I want to move forward, but I don't want to skip over an opportunity for questions or comments. Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and go on to the next piece of our work. We are doing well on time, and we wanted to spotlight a couple of the strategies from the Preschool Development Grant Next. And at each of our quarterly meetings, we want to make sure that you're fully aware of how this work is unfolding, how it's implementing, and what we've been able to accomplish as a collective. Knowing that many of you are contributing to a thought partnership or implementation as a part of this work. Today, we're going to hear from Strategy 4, which is focused on workforce and which has a required focus, which is a required focus of the federal grant funded by the Administration of Children and Families. And we'll first hear from Lynn, who will talk about the Talent Pipeline Management Collaborative Network, and then we'll move to the apprenticeship work, and Rebecca Smith will give us an update on that. So, Lynn, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Felicia. I'm really excited to share this strategy with you all today. If you can go on to the next slide, Robin. I just want to share a little bit about the work that's already happened and some work that's upcoming. The Governor's Office of Early Childhood has partnered with the Kentucky Chamber, and we've launched an early childhood education employer collaborative designed to address employment shortages and to also help build the supply chains while raising awareness for the early childhood industry. Callie Miracle is our representative there at the Chamber that's been working very closely with us, and she was unable to join us today, so I'm presenting this in her stead. Next slide, please. Just to give you a little bit of background information on what the Talent Pipeline Management Program is. The Talent Pipeline Management Program was started by the Chamber, and it is an employer-led and demand-driven approach for businesses to create and manage talent supply chains by projecting talent needs and aligning those with the education and workforce development systems. TPM is what it is known by in Chamber world, and it has been successful in several industries in Kentucky, including the K-12 industry, as well as aviation, agriculture, equine, and the distilling industry. On this slide, you can see how many workforce and employers in the Commonwealth have benefited across the state's workforce industry thus far. And that's a pretty substantial amount. And part of the reason why we wanted to start this with our early childhood field is that success that has been shown in K-12. We also know that we are a very unique industry with unique needs. So we have a talent pipeline that is dedicated just to early childhood, but it is broken down into 3 different subgroups. So we'll talk about that. If we can go to the next slide. So our early care and education collaboratives have the goal of engaging early care and education employers in the working collaborative group. I mentioned there are 3 subgroups. There's childcare, family childcare homes, public preschool, and then Head Start. Participants may choose to participate with just one of those groups, or if their agency represents multiple areas, they are allowed to participate in more than one of those subgroups, just depending on their needs. These subgroups are meeting to create efficiencies in the talent pipeline chains and to expand and evaluate the work that's already being done. So there's a lot of conversation around successes and around needs and around what might be the clog in the pipeline to recruiting and retaining those employees. The goals are to raise awareness for the industry as a statewide voice, to create additional opportunities for work-based learning in early childhood education, and also to assist in filling those open positions through strategic partnerships and shared strategies. Each of the subgroups met for the first time in September, and they had over 100 people in attendance, which was a great turnout for our first meetings. The subgroups are going to meet again in January, and the dates and times will be coming up on a slide, and Megan will put in the chat the different links if you are interested in participating, but we also would invite you as a member of the council to share these links out and to invite others that this might pertain to. Next slide, please. This is the really exciting work that's just happening and about to be shared with our subgroups. A demand projection survey was created for each of the subgroups. They met and discussed the different staffing issues and the different positions that exist within each of those three groups, and discussed how difficult right now those positions are to fill, or which positions might be easier to fill for them. And so this data was collected through a survey. The demand projection aims to identify staff positions that exist in each of the areas of early childhood education and care, and their required education and qualifications for each of those positions. And then the data has been aggregated already just this last week for each subgroup, and it identifies the number of needed positions in each occupation for each area in the industry. And then this data, as I mentioned, will be shared in the January group meetings that are upcoming. And we're really excited because we had a really good response, a really high number of responses, and especially in childcare, which is exactly the industry that we need to be looking at and supporting. These surveys have been sent out via email, and if you would like to participate in any of the data collection, it's not too late. You can email me. If Megan will put my email address in the chat, you can email me and I can connect you with Callie to complete that survey and help us gather more data. And we are surveying both new and replacement positions. And when we say replacement positions, we mean those that have turnover. And so we know that there are a lot of those. And so we're looking at those, and we're looking at positions that are created because of expansion of services as well. All data will be aggregated once completed again, and surveys will show the expected quality and quantity of job openings over a specific amount of time. And what the groups decided amongst themselves was to look at a 1 to 2 year projection right now, just with the volatile nature of the industry and turnover. They felt like 1 to 2 years would give us some data to start that process. And this is going to help us identify specific positions that are needed for each sector, as I mentioned, which will be aligned to current strategies for recruitment and the existing pipelines that currently feed each of the identified positions. And then this will help to clearly identify where and what types of clogs might exist in the pipeline on a state and local level. For instance, what educational requirements are required for the positions, what schools or professional development opportunities exist or do not exist to feed those needs, and what we can do to identify strategies to break those down. So we're really excited to get this data to our subgroups and then to share out with everyone else. And again, Megan has put the information in the chat. We would love as many participants as would like to be involved. And we had some really rich discussion in these last meetings. So we're looking forward to January and hope that you can join us or share with others who might be able to join us. Again, on the next slide, has our 3 meeting times for the 3 subgroups. And again, as I mentioned, Megan has put the link in the chat if you're interested in attending any of those. And any questions before I hand it over to Rebecca? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Rebecca. I'm very excited to introduce Rebecca Smith, who is our registered apprenticeship consultant in the Governor's Office of Early Childhood. And she did a fabulous job at the convening that we attended last week, presenting on a panel, was selected to present on that panel because Kentucky's doing such amazing groundbreaking work. She's going to share with you a little bit about that presentation, about that experience, and then also our relaunching of our 3 cohorts that are coming up. So Rebecca?
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm really excited. I actually have 2 different things that I'm going to talk about. One, I'm going to talk about when I was granted the opportunity to present at the PDG conference, but I also wanted to tell everybody that in November, it was National Apprenticeship Week, and the state of Kentucky, the Office of Employer and Apprenticeship, decided to highlight our program for National Apprenticeship Week. And we got to create a video that just shows a little bit about apprenticeship and what it looks like on the ground, and actually has people who are involved in the program in the video. So I'm going to share that with you in just a few minutes, but I wanted to start with that so you knew what the video was coming up, and then also to talk to you about the preschool development convening. So when we sorry, I'm reading through my notes because Lynn already put my groundwork down. So I got to speak on a panel, and the panel was part of, there were 2 people from New York, and New York is just starting their apprenticeship program. And then, of course, I got to speak, and we have a developing program that we already have launched. And then also we did the presentation through our we have there's a national grant for early childhood education apprenticeship, and we work with a company called LPE that ran the panel and asked the questions and things like that. So I got to have a really good open discussion and present Kentucky's model to everybody who was at the conference, who joined our session. I also got to talk about how the program has progressed, how we started the program, and the challenges that we have faced. I also got to network with other states so that they can reach out to me if they have any questions, because Kentucky is at the forefront. And we want to make sure that, early childhood education apprenticeship is something that can grow on a national level. Our state is not the only one that is struggling with early childhood workforce. So spreading as much knowledge and helping out other states as much as we can to grow this program, we're very excited about. So if you want to, we can go to the next slide and we'll show you the video. And I'm going to talk through a couple of the slides that I presented just to give you all a little bit more information on the apprenticeship program that I got to present at the conference.
Hi, my name is Haley Saylor, and I'm an apprentice at the Nature Schools. I'm a single mom of 3 small children. I don't have time to go to school or the resources to go back to college. So the apprenticeship has given me an opportunity to achieve my goals without a typical 4-year degree, and I was able to still further my education and still grow and still move up into a position.
Sorry, it seems that we have the voiceover, but not the actual video playing. If you'll give just 1 second.
We can also send the video out to everyone if that might help move and eliminate some of the technical issues. So is that okay, Rebecca, if we do that?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Okay. Go ahead and continue with
Sure.
the rest of your update.
Can you put the slides back up? Jess, you're not sharing. Thank you. Next slide, please. Oh. No. Okay, I'm going to try to share my screen. Oh, sorry.
There we
Okay,
go.
perfect. Okay, so this is the slide that I started with when we were at the National PDG conference. It just was a timeline that gave everybody just a little bit of information about the time that it takes to build a program like this from the ground up. And it just gives them a little idea of the different that we didn't do all of the occupations at once, and that it has been a process over time. We also wanted to let them know where we were going. And I'm really excited to announce we have our cohort applications open for our January 2023 third cohort to start. So that the application's actually closed today. And we have over 55 employer partners who have signed up for the program, which is huge. Right now, currently, we have 38 employer partners from our first 2 cohorts. So we're very excited for this to get started. And we are also doing things that we're really helping streamline the process. Like we're building a Google Classroom to work with to make things easier for the apprentices and the people involved in the program. So we're very excited. And then we're also going to start, we have another cohort started to be started in June of 2024. So we definitely have our wheels going forward, and we wanted to kind of just let people know at the PDG conference how that kind of developed over time. Next slide, please. So we shared within the 3 different occupations that we have with the state that is for registered apprenticeship. We have the early childhood administrator director, the early childhood educator, which is an associate's degree, the start of an associate's degree track in early childhood education. And then we have the child care development specialist, which is for entry into the child care field. You know, a lot of times if people start in childcare, they don't know what they're doing. And there's not always that training that's available to them. And so this program would really help mentor them into the program and get them started and give them a resource for growing and learning high quality. Next slide, please. This was just a bit about our incentive program that we offer. We do offer milestone achievements for our apprentices, mentors, and employers for different levels that they reach in the program. But we also provide wage increase support for our employers. This is something that we are hoping helps with the compensation part of the early childhood education industry, that you know, as they go through the program, they are offered raises for you know, doing the program, putting in the time, and making sure that they are taken care of for being high quality educators. Next slide, please. So Felicia, I think that this is the next, or this, I can't talk. I hand it back to you, but if anybody has any questions about the apprenticeship program, I'm happy to answer them.
Great. Are there any questions? And that was such a fantastic update and overview. Thanks for the thoroughness of sharing so that we can all learn more about the work that is continuing to move forward and be a shining example for the country. So thank you for that. And thank you, Lynn, for your update as well. Are there any questions or just insights that you're having from hearing about the work of the Strategy 4 in the PDG?
Felicia,
Yes.
like to know a little bit more about how these opportunities are being systematically socialized. Because I think, you know, these are fantastic opportunities, and and I know that there's been a plan, and you all have been working the plan, the office has been working the plan, but I just would like for all of us to hear about how this is being socialized and how we can help in the socialization of this work. Thanks.
I can share that the way that we actually started with the talent pipeline management, for instance, was that we went through our regional collaborative network that's already in existence. And so we wanted to make sure that we were reaching all industries, all corners, all sectors of anything that touched early care and education. And so we made sure that we went that route because we wanted to connect to local communities as well. And as you know, every community is different, every need is going to be different. And so with the apprenticeship program, that's the same thing. Additionally, and I'll let Rebecca talk a little bit more about this, but we work with the Office of Employer and Apprenticeship, and we have a consultant there in their office who is also doing some of the groundwork. So Rebecca, if you want to talk a little bit about the things that Kayla does to help make sure that we're mobilizing and localizing that strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Office of Employer and Apprenticeship actually has, and it was in my timeline, but they dedicated a full-time person to the field of early childhood education. So not only does Kayla work with me, she's completely taught me about apprenticeship and how apprenticeship works, but also she is boots on the ground. She goes to career fairs. She works with, you know, she has all kinds of different programs, layoff aversions that she does outside of just helping us with our apprenticeship program. So she is somebody, she works with her career centers to recruit. She also, like I said, goes to career fairs and things like that. So she is kind of the boots on the ground, but also when we kick off the program and things like that, you know, we sent emails out to all of our regional collaboratives to have them share that we were starting a new cohort. We sent information out through the DCC listserv. So, you know, we partnered with them to help get the word out as well. So we're trying to we also use our social media, our Facebook, everything like that to let people know that we're starting new cohorts as well.
So if there are folks in communities that want to know more about this work, who is their local point of contact? Who should they be reaching out to?
So it would actually be me.
Okay.
Everything is handled through me. So if they have any questions, I'll put our workforce email into the chat box so that you guys all have it. Of course, we want to get as many people involved in the program as we can. So anybody is welcome to reach out to me anytime.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question.
Are there other questions about either strategy within this part of the preschool development grant? Any insights, new learning that anyone would like to share? Okay, if not, we're going to keep moving. And as you can tell, we're in it's the season for celebrating. And, you know, as you think about a year's body of work, a lot has been accomplished from this office, and a lot has been accomplished from the work that each of you are doing every day to ensure that Kentucky is the best place to raise a child and raise a family. And all of this is contributing to, all of your work is contributing to the successes and the wins that I think are worthy of taking a pause and really reflecting on the work that's been accomplished over the year. So I am going to turn it over to Megan, and she's going to start us off with some words to help celebrate some of the work that's accomplished this year. Megan. Uh-oh, I can't see or hear Megan. Okay, now I can see her, but I can't hear her. Megan, are you set, or do we need to have someone else do this part? Oh, I think I heard you.
Oh, I think you're hearing her through my earphones. Hold on one second. She's coming over to one of the other computers to do the
Okay.
update.
Okay.
Technology. There she comes.
Okay, so we're good. Okay, let's try this again. So with the release of the early childhood standards in 2022, the family companion resource that we normally or formally known as the parent guides were revised and renamed to the family guides to provide a more equitable and accessible resource for families preparing their children for kindergarten. And they were aligned directly with my screen went away. How do you mute your screen to make that?
Megan, we can still see that slide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There we go. They were aligned directly to the early childhood standards, and the family guides offer families interactive activities through everyday language that correlates directly to skills and development along the developmental continuum of the standards. And since the release of the revised family guides, we've distributed more than 60,000 copies through cross-sector early care and education partners, including Head Start, Early Head Start, HANDS, Home Visitation, Early Intervention, Child Care, and Family Child Care agencies, public preschool, family resource and youth service centers, training agencies, family engagement agencies, and many more. And we actually have more family guides coming out in the upcoming months to additional partners and families. And so we're always excited to get those into the hands of our partners and families across the Commonwealth. And we recently launched a state marketing campaign, which featured the family guides across the state. And the marketing was showcased on TV, radio stations, at movie theaters, and on social media. And the marketing campaign highlighted the importance of family-child interaction and the use of the family guides to help prepare children for kindergarten. And this campaign also provided information on where families and agencies could find the family guide resources online. So now I'm going to hand it back to Rebecca to talk about our apprenticeship wins for this year.
So right now we are almost finished. We almost have complete going through our early childhood apprenticeship policy manual that we have developed. It just gives a outline, a shell to all of the policies that are needed for early childhood registered apprenticeship. In January, I'm very excited. We have from our first cohort of early childhood educators and our first cohort of early childhood administrator directors, we have over 30 apprentices who are going to graduate and complete the program. So we're extremely excited for them. We hope to have a ceremony to celebrate for them because it's a huge accomplishment. And then again, as I said before, we have 2 new cohorts of apprenticeships that are launching in 2024.
Great. On the next slide, we're going to just highlight a couple of additional wins. You can read this information, but I'm just going to point out a couple of things that have already been mentioned. One, the work that's going on with the talent pipeline management regional collaborative effort and how significant that is for us, and thinking about alignment, coordination, and how this office and in partnership with others is really elevating that as a key issue for the Commonwealth. I'll also share, recently Lynn and I talked, and she said that the fiscal mapping data will be completed, and we'll have an opportunity to hear and learn more about that. It's cradle to career, so this is another great opportunity for us to see the longitudinal information that's necessary for continuing with improvement. And then the other thing that I wanted to share that you heard about earlier from Dr. Williams, specific to additional wins, is just another piece of the work that's underway with subgrants that will be implementing full day, year-round, high-quality early care and education settings. And so just continuing that work and making that a priority. All of this is bringing together what systemness and oneness needs to look like in the field. And I think we can all be proud of the collaborative effort and the coordination and alignment that has occurred over the past year. I do want to also note that Rena's question about communication, marketing, getting the word out, really is incumbent on all of us, in addition to the work and strategies that are intentional with marketing and communication. And so I'm going to ask that we challenge ourselves as a council to continue to elevate this work in your social settings, in your personal settings, in your work settings, so that people can continue to hear all about the amazing work that's happening across the state. Are there any questions or thoughts about our reflection on the past year and the successes and wins that have been occurring today? Or any comments? Lynn?
Yeah, as an office, I just want to speak for our team. As I mentioned, this is a really strong team of people who have like-mindedness. We have a goal, we have goals in mind, and we couldn't do that though without the support of this council. So we just want to take the opportunity to thank you all for your support, and as Felicia mentioned, for getting the word out about these great strategies and initiatives. So I think that would be a great holiday gift for us if you could take just some time to share out some of the things that are happening and some of the opportunities that are upcoming for people in your local communities and around you and your workforce. So thank you all for everything you do, for your support, and just wanted to say that, and happy holidays.
Great. Anyone else? We are all not only engaging as leaders in this space, but we're also participants and recipients of the type of work that is occurring across the Commonwealth. So I also want to say thank you for your leadership during time of transition. It can be fragile, but there's all confidence in how this team is continuing to move the work forward as a collaborative, and how this council is contributing. So I really appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and go on to the next slide. As we look at our 2024 dates, please make sure that these dates are on your calendar. It is important that we have, continued representation. We all have a role, and we want to hear your voice as we continue to do this work moving forward. If you have thoughts and ideas about how we can continue to improve upon how our meetings bring in your voice and your contributions, please send those to Lynn And we will have conversations about, continuous improvement as we think about our meeting agenda and how we learn from you, given the expertise and years of work that is represented by this council. I want to also close us out by saying, again, another thank you. We recognize that December is a very busy month for many of you. We are also, if you're like anything like me, you're likely already thinking about rest and trying to grab some time for relaxation. So I wish that for all of you, because I know this work is not easy and we need to step back and have a period of kind of rejuvenating ourselves. And I hope you're able to do that over the season. And we want to say happy holidays. We want to thank you for all the work that you are engaged in. And then according to our meeting requirements, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved,
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Thank
I'll
you.
make a motion.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Enjoy your holiday season. Our meeting is adjourned as of 2:16. Thank you so much. Take
Thank you
care.
all. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, everyone. Take care.
Hey, Lynn, if I can get you and the team to hold on for just a minute. I wanted to have y'all come off of